Hello and welcome to a little short special episode of Fully Charged, which is of course the apology episode. Now, a lot of people who commented on the previous news episode I did with Johnny Smith have said, oh, I expect we'll get an apology episode soon. Very like Facebook in some ways. You do something really wrong and then you apologize for it. You don't like not do the wrong thing to start with. You always do the wrong thing and then you apologize. Anyway, I wanted to make a short apology about the previous news episode. I mean, while it was technically fun and informative, there were so many errors in it. I think a record of errors. You know, Johnny and I try and deliver factual stuff in an upbeat and entertaining way, which quite often works really well, but occasionally, as we've just witnessed, it really doesn't work. So here's a few corrections from the last episode, which are mostly coming from comments, but also actual private conversations I've had with people. Why did we even mention the Elon Musk story about taking Tesla as a private company? That was a really stupid thing to do because literally a few minutes before we released the episode, Tesla announced they weren't going to go private, they were going to stay public. So the whole story was a bit of a non-event. But I stated wrongly that the shares were worth $4.20 when in fact they were worth $420. That is quite a big error. It's the same numbers, but the little point's in the wrong place. And I had it in front of me, and I just read it wrong. There we go. Now, short selling. It kind of annoys me, the whole notion of short selling, which is why I didn't really look into it, but I've had it explained to me numerous times. Short selling is quite simply selling the shares before you have bought them, then hoping they will go down before you have to settle. i.e. buy the shares to give to the person you sold them to. It's gambling in a really stupid way. So that's that. I don't even want to talk about short selling or Tesla's stock share. I'm not interested. So I shouldn't have mentioned it in the first place. So I apologize if you sat through all that. Here's some other ones. Seeing as I actually know about this is deeply embarrassing. The battery at the wind farm in South Australia isn't 4 megawatt hours, like I said. It is in fact 129 megawatt hours, and that's a fairly substantial mistake. In the region of 125 megawatt hours difference. Poland. I'm really sorry about this. Poland, real big boo-boo. Yes, often Poland is cited as being the country with the dirtiest electricity. It isn't very clean. They do burn a lot of coal in Poland, but Poland does have wind farms. At the end of 2015, a total installed capacity was 5,100 megawatts, which is actually quite a lot, which provided 10,858 gigawatt hours of electricity, or around 6.22% of Poland's total electricity generation. And Poland does not have the dirtiest electricity in Europe, no. Poland's electricity generation produces on average around 700 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour. In this country, around 2 to 300. So as you can see, it's substantially more. But Estonia, which we visited recently, is currently producing 1,250 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour, which is a lot. So I'm very sorry to all our Polish viewers who corrected me on this. However, I've been informed also in the comments that the current administration in Poland is clearly ideologically opposed to wind farms and has imposed ludicrous restrictions on installing new generation. Now, the 2 nuclear plants of the same design as Hinkley Point C, one in France and one in Finland, which I've already talked about at great length. And I said Sweden. I think one time I said Norway. No, Finland is trying to build a nuclear power station. It's only 8 years behind schedule. Don't be critical. E.ON. E.ON is not a French company, which I knew. It's a German company. I just made a boo-boo. I'm sorry, it was really stupid. E.ON is a German company and E.ON UK is a British subsidiary of that German company. Now, this is the best one. The whole point of putting the story in about the Volkswagen advert that promotes electric cars in the United States, which doesn't feature a Volkswagen in it, it was completely spurious. There is a VW e-Golf at the very, very last, I think it's like 4 or 5 frames I counted. There is an e-Golf featured in the advert. And 600 people pointed that out. Now, the Flow battery. The Flow battery, developed by Glasgow University, which could revolutionise electric cars, The battery technology described by Professor Lee Cronin at Glasgow University is a rechargeable fluid which you pump into. You can pump in a charge fluid, and as you pump out a discharge fluid from a tank. Now that is very unlike the red flow battery system we looked at in Australia, which is very good for large-term grid storage or static storage in a house. Now, there is some skepticism about this research that was reported widely. BBC, all the newspapers carried it. This is the revolution that's really going to change electric cars. And you all, I hope, everyone hopes this is true. But there is some skepticism amongst battery technologists that I know well, in particular Ewan McTurk. Thank you, Ewan, for all your comments. He's a battery chemist who's had a bit of an education, slightly more than me. He went to the University of Warwick, Oxford, St Andrews and Dundee University, and he knows a thing or two. Now, he's concerned about the energy density of this proposed storage system. The energy density stated by the researchers at Glasgow University is 225 watt-hours a litre. Now, the energy density of Tesla batteries is currently 3 times that, although it's kind of difficult to compare. But if you take a litre of space and put Tesla batteries in it, they contain 3 times more energy than the equivalent of the liquid. Now, the researchers claim that their liquid battery can power a car the same distance as a petrol car. But petrol contains 10,000 watt-hours a litre. That is considerably more than 225 watt-hours a litre. So even if you burn petrol in an inefficient internal combustion engine, you still yield around 3,000 watt-hours a litre of power, which is still a lot more than 225 watt-hours a litre, so there are some discrepancies here. Now, there have been previous attempts to make flow batteries work in cars. Now, a company called Nano Flow Cell is the most well-known. They're a Swiss company, and they are surrounded by a certain amount of controversy. Now, there's loads of stories on the internet dating from around 2013, 2014 about how this was it. Top Gear magazine raved about it. This is going to be brilliant. This is how electric cars will be in the future. They'll all be done by that, and those stories have died. There's nothing new. But all that said, I think it's fantastic that researchers at Glasgow University and elsewhere are researching different challenging ways of storing electricity on either a small or a huge scale, and that's really, really important stuff. So I'm not saying this research from Glasgow is null and void and pointless. I think it's a really, really good thing, and I'm really glad they're doing it, and I hope they make it work. I genuinely do. Now, I'm sure there were loads of other mistakes, and we have really genuinely learned a valuable lesson from this, and we will make more effort to cover stories that we understand and cover them properly. Now, we've got a load of really brilliant episodes coming up. We've got a really, really busy September coming up. We're filming all over the place, some amazing stuff we're going to go and see. I'm going to be asking proper people proper questions so they give proper answers with actual facts in it. Actual numbers that correlate to reality. That is my ambition for the remainder of 2018 and going into the future of 2019. Just before we go, a quick reminder that we're doing this live news with real facts and real numbers live news episode at the end of next month. That will be for Patreon supporters. You'll be hearing about that very soon, you lovely Patreon supporters. And talking of lovely Patreon supporters, I just want to give a quick shout out to a few people who generously support Fully Charged for $10 a month or more. And they are John Salmons, Martin Sprut, Mark Richard, Ian Bradbury, Jessica Finley. Thank you, Jessica. She appeared at Fully Charged Lives. Brilliant. David Price, Nigel McGrath, Matthew Gibbons, Cliff Dobbs, and Ewan. Just Ewan. Thanks, Ewan. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please accept our deep, profound apologies for the complete cock-up of the last episode. There were some good bits in it. That's all I've got time for. Please do subscribe to Fully Charged. Honestly, it's worth it. I know we've lost a few subscribers because of that. Please do have a look at the Patreon link, which is beneath this video. And as always, if you have been, thank you for watching.